Chapter 1: The Launch. The massive hangar of the Luna shipyards buzzed with activity as final preparations were made for the launch of humanity's most ambitious project to date, the UES Audacity, a sleek vessel that seemed to absorb the very light around it, stood proudly at the center of the commotion. Its experimental quantum-entangled hull glimmered with an otherworldly sheen, a testament to the cutting-edge technology that had gone into its construction. Captain Marcus Hawthorne stood at the base of the ship, his steel-gray eyes taking in every detail of the craft that would be his home for the next decade. At 45, Hawthorne was considered young for such a monumental command, but his record spoke for itself. A veteran of the Mars colonies and the Jovian expeditions, he had consistently demonstrated a unique blend of leadership, diplomacy, and tactical acumen that made him the ideal choice for humanity's first deep space exploration mission. "She's a beauty, isn't she?" A familiar voice pulled Hawthorne from his reverie. He turned to see Admiral Yuki Tanaka, his mentor and the driving force behind the Audacity project, approaching with a smile. Hawthorne nodded, returning the smile. "That she is, Admiral. I still can't believe we're actually doing this." Tanaka's eyes twinkled with excitement. "Believe it, Marcus. In less than 24 hours, you and your crew will be making history. The first human vessel capable of crossing vast interstellar distances in the blink of an eye." She paused, her expression growing serious. "You understand the weight of this mission, don't you?" "I do," Admiral Hawthorne replied, his voice steady. "To explore, to seek out new life and civilizations, to represent humanity in our first steps into the galactic community. It's a responsibility I don't take lightly." Tanaka placed a hand on his shoulder. "I know you don't. That's why you're the right person for this job. Now go get some rest. Tomorrow's a big day." As Hawthorne made his way to his temporary quarters, his mind raced with thoughts of the journey ahead. The Audacity's mission was unprecedented, a 10-year expedition to explore regions of space previously thought unreachable in a human lifetime. The ship's revolutionary fold space drive, based on principles of quantum entanglement and space-time manipulation, would allow them to cover vast distances in mere moments. But it wasn't just the technology that made this mission special. Hawthorne's crew was a carefully selected group of the best and brightest humanity had to offer. Scientists, engineers, diplomats, and soldiers, each chosen not just for their skills but for their ability to adapt to the unknown challenges that lay ahead. As he drifted off to sleep, Hawthorne's last thoughts were of the endless possibilities that awaited them among the stars. Chapter 2: First Jump. The next day passed in a blur of final checks, rousing speeches, and tearful goodbyes. Before Hawthorne knew it, he was standing on the bridge of the Audacity, his crew at their stations, ready to make history. "All systems are go," Captain reported Lieutenant Commander Zara Chen, his executive officer. Chen, a brilliant tactician with a PhD in xenobiology, was Hawthorne's right hand and the perfect complement to his leadership style. Hawthorne took a deep breath, looking around at the faces of his crew. Each pair of eyes that met his was filled with a mixture of excitement and determination. "Very well," he said, his voice carrying clearly across the bridge. "Let's make humanity proud. Engage the fold space drive." At the helm, Lieutenant Ravi Sharma, a wonderkind in quantum physics and space navigation, input the commands. The ship hummed to life, a deep, resonant sound that seemed to vibrate through their very bones. "Fold space drive engaged," Sharma announced, "preparing for our first jump." On the view screen, the familiar sight of Earth and its moon began to stretch and distort. Colors blurred together, and for a moment, reality itself seemed to twist. Then, with a silent flash, they were elsewhere. A collective gasp went up from the bridge crew as they took in the sight before them. A massive gas giant, easily twice the size of Jupiter, dominated the view. Rings of ice and rock, glowing with an eerie blue light, encircled the planet. In the distance, a dense star field painted the backdrop of space with countless points of light. "Jump successful," Sharma reported, his voice filled with awe. "We've traveled approximately 50 light-years in a single jump, all systems functioning normally." Hawthorne allowed himself a small smile. "Excellent work, everyone. Dr. Okonkwo, what can you tell us about our location?" Dr. Elias Okonkwo, the ship's chief exobiologist, was already poring over the incoming data. "Fascinating, Captain. The gas giant appears to have a unique atmospheric composition. Those glowing rings, They're teeming with organic compounds. This could be a breeding ground for exotic life forms. Hawthorne's interest was piqued. Any signs of intelligence? Before Okonkwo could respond, Lieutenant Sophia Valdez at the communications station cut in. "Captain, I'm picking up some strange signals. They're faint, but definitely artificial in origin." Excitement rippled through the bridge. Could they have stumbled upon an alien civilization on their very first jump? "Can you pinpoint the source?" Hawthorne asked, leaning forward in his chair. Valdez shook her head. "Not precisely, sir. But they seem to be coming from deeper in the system. There's a terrestrial planet about 500 million kilometers from our current position that could be the origin." Hawthorne nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. "All right, let's proceed with caution. Mr. Sharma, plot a course for that planet, but keep us at a safe distance. We don't want to appear threatening if there is an intelligent species present." As the Audacity glided deeper into the alien star system, the crew worked feverishly to gather as much data as possible. The signals grew stronger, confirming their artificial nature, but remained frustratingly indecipherable. Captain Chen said, her voice low as she approached Hawthorne's chair. "What's our plan if we do make contact? The first contact protocols we developed were theoretical. We never truly expected to encounter intelligent alien life so soon." Hawthorne met her gaze, seeing his own mix of excitement and apprehension mirrored in her eyes. "We stick to the basics, Zara. We approach peacefully, attempt to communicate, and prioritize the safety of the ship and crew above all else. Beyond that, we adapt." As if on cue, Valdez's console lit up with a series of rapid beeps. "Captain, we're being hailed." Chapter 3: First Contact. The bridge fell silent as all eyes turned to Captain Hawthorne. This was the moment they had trained for, yet nothing could truly prepare them for the reality of first contact with an alien species. Hawthorne stood, straightening his uniform. On screen, Lieutenant Valdez. "Let's meet our neighbors." The view screen flickered to life, and the crew of the Audacity found themselves face to face with something utterly alien. The being on the screen had a vaguely humanoid shape, but that's where the similarities ended. Its skin was a shifting pattern of iridescent scales, and what appeared to be tentacles framed a face dominated by 3 large, multifaceted eyes. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move. Instead, patterns of light danced across its skin. "Unknown vessel," came a voice through the ship's speakers, the universal translator struggling to keep up. "You have entered ZK space. Identify yourself and state your purpose." Hawthorne took a deep breath, acutely aware that his next words would be humanity's first official communication with an alien species. "I am Captain Marcus Hawthorne of the United Earth ship Audacity. We are explorers from a planet called Earth, on a peaceful mission of discovery. We apologize for any intrusion. We were unaware this system was claimed." The alien's eyes blinked in an unsettling asynchronous pattern. "Explorers, we are unfamiliar with your species or this Earth. How did you breach our perimeter defenses undetected?" Hawthorne exchanged a quick glance with Chen. "Perimeter defenses? They hadn't detected any on their approach. We utilized a new form of propulsion that allows us to traverse great distances quickly. We meant no offense in bypassing your defenses, we simply didn't encounter them." The alien was silent for a moment, its skin pulsing with rapid flashes of color. When it spoke again, its tone was decidedly more hostile. "An unknown species with technology capable of bypassing our most advanced detection systems? Your story of peaceful exploration strains credulity. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with force." The view screen went dark, replaced by the image of several ZK ships rapidly approaching the Audacity. "Red alert," Hawthorne commanded, his voice calm but authoritative. "Shields up, but do not arm weapons. We need to show we're not a threat." The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as the crew rushed to their battle stations. Lieutenant Sharma's hands flew over his console, maneuvering the Audacity into a defensive posture. Sir Chen said, her voice tense, "If they board us, we'll be at a severe disadvantage. We don't know their capabilities or intentions." Hawthorne nodded grimly. "Agreed. But we can't risk opening fire. One wrong move could start an interstellar war." He turned to Valdez. "Lieutenant, keep hailing them. We need to establish a dialogue." As Valdez worked frantically to re-establish communication, Dr. Okonkwo approached the captain, his eyes wide with realization. "Captain, I think I understand their reaction. Look at their ships. Hawthorne studied the approaching vessels on the view screen. They were organic in appearance, almost like giant, spacefaring cephalopods. What am I looking for, Doctor? Their biology, Sir Okonkwo explained. Based on what we've seen, the ZK Thari appear to be a species that evolved in the upper atmospheres of gas giants. They're likely used to a very specific set of environmental conditions. Our sudden appearance, coupled with our alien biology, must be terrifying to them. Hawthorne's mind raced, processing this new information, so they're not necessarily aggressive, just scared. Okonkwo nodded. It's a possibility. In their eyes, we might be potential invaders or even a biological threat. Captain Valdez called out. I've re-established contact. On screen, Hawthorne ordered, quickly formulating a new approach. The ZK Thari leader reappeared, its skin now a dark, roiling pattern that Hawthorne interpreted as agitation or fear. ZK Thari vessel Hawthorne began, his voice calm and reassuring. We understand your concerns. Our biology and technology are unfamiliar to you just as yours are to us. But I assure you we pose no threat. We're an atmospheric species, evolved on a terrestrial world. We cannot survive in the environments you call home without significant technological assistance. The alien's eyes blinked rapidly, its skin patterns shifting. You cannot survive in the embrace of a gas giant. Hawthorne shook his head. No, the pressures would crush us, the atmospheres poison us. We're as alien to your environment as you are to ours. This is why we seek peaceful contact. There is so much we could learn from each other. The ZK Thari was silent for a long moment, its skin pulsing with subtle patterns of light that the Audacity's crew could only guess at the meaning of. Finally it spoke. Your words. They ring with truth. Perhaps we have been too hasty in our judgment. Your kind is truly unknown to us, and that which is unknown is often feared. Hawthorne allowed himself a small smile. Sentiment we understand all too well. May I suggest a compromise? We will maintain our current position and make no move to approach your world further. In return, we request the opportunity to exchange information cultural, scientific, biological. Let us learn about each other in a controlled, but safe manner. The ZK Thari's skin flashed with a brief pattern of bright colors. Your proposal is acceptable. We will send a delegation to your ship. Prepare an area that can be sealed and filled with our atmospheric mix. We will provide the necessary specifications. Agreed, Hawthorne said, relief evident in his voice. We look forward to a peaceful and productive exchange. As the communication ended and the ZK Thari ships took up positions around the Audacity, a palpable sense of excitement mixed with nervous energy filled the bridge. Chen approached Hawthorne, a look of admiration on her face. Well done, Captain. You just saved us from a potential disaster and opened the door for humanity's first peaceful alien exchange. Hawthorne let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. We're not out of the woods yet, Zara. But it's a start. He turned to address the bridge crew. All right, people, we've got work to do. Let's prepare for our guests and show them the best humanity has to offer. As the crew sprang into action, Hawthorne couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had faced their first major challenge and come through it not just unscathed but with the potential for a historic breakthrough. The real work of their mission to explore, to learn, and to forge connections across the stars was just beginning. Chapter 4: Cultural Exchange. The next few days aboard the Audacity were a whirlwind of activity as the crew prepared for their alien visitors. The ship's largest cargo bay was quickly transformed into a makeshift alien habitat, with Dr. Okonkwo and his team working around the clock to create an environment that could support ZK Thari biology. It's fascinating, really, Okonkwo explained to Hawthorne as they inspected the nearly completed habitat. Their atmospheric requirements are so different from ours. High pressure, high temperature, and a mix of gases that would be lethal to humans. It's a testament to the diversity of life in the universe. Hawthorne nodded, his eyes taking in the complex system of airlocks and environmental controls. And you're sure this will hold? The last thing we need is a breach compromising ship systems. Absolutely, Captain Okonkwo assured him. We've run every simulation possible. This setup is as safe as we can make it. As they exited the cargo bay, Hawthorne's communicator chirped. Captain, to the bridge came Chen's voice. The ZK Thari delegation is approaching. When Hawthorne arrived on the bridge, he found his crew tense but ready. On the view screen, a small ZK Thari vessel was detaching from one of the larger ships and making its way towards the Audacity. Remember, Hawthorne addressed his crew, "This is a historic moment. Not just for us, but for all of humanity. Let's show them the best of what we have to offer." The docking procedure was tense, with both sides acutely aware of the vast biological differences between them. But finally, after what seemed like an eternity of careful maneuvering and atmospheric checks, the ZK Thari delegation was safely aboard the Audacity. Communication was initially challenging. While the universal translator could handle the basics of the ZK language, the nuances of their color-based emotional expressions were lost. But as hours turned into days, both sides began to develop a rudimentary understanding of each other's cultures and biology. The ZK Thari, it turned out, were a species with a rich history and complex social structure. They had evolved in the upper atmospheres of gas giants, developing a civilization that spanned multiple planets within their home system. Their technology, while different from humanity's in many ways, was equally advanced in others. "It's incredible," Chen marveled during one of the nightly debriefings. "Their method of space travel relies on manipulating gravitational fields. It's slower than our fold space drive, but potentially more versatile in some ways." Hawthorne nodded, equally impressed. "And their biological technology is light years ahead of ours. Did you see those living ships? Imagine the possibilities if we could adapt something like that for our own use." But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Cultural misunderstandings were frequent and sometimes tense. The ZK Thari concept of personal space, for instance, was radically different from that of humans. What seemed like a friendly gesture to one species could be perceived as a grave insult by the other. One particularly tense moment came when Dr. Okonkwo, in his enthusiasm to learn more about ZK Thari biology, asked to take a small tissue sample from one of the visitors. The ZK Thari reacted with horror, their skin flashing patterns that the translator interpreted as a mix of fear and outrage. "You wish to harvest parts of us," the lead ZK Thari diplomat, who had introduced itself as ZK Lore, pulsed in agitation. "Is this how you treat all new life you encounter?" It took hours of careful explanation from Hawthorne and his team to smooth things over, detailing the concept of non-invasive medical procedures and the human drive to understand through scientific study. "I believe we've stumbled upon a fundamental difference in our approaches to the universe," Hawthorne said, addressing both his crew and the ZK Thari delegation. "We humans seek to understand through analysis and experimentation, but perhaps the ZK have other ways of gaining knowledge that we haven't considered." This realization led to a breakthrough in their discussions. The ZK Thari, it turned out, had developed a form of technology that allowed them to share experiences and knowledge directly through a type of bioelectric field. While not compatible with human biology, this technology opened up new avenues for cultural exchange. Chapter 5: Crisis and Opportunity. As the days stretched into weeks, the initial tension between the two species began to ease. The crew of the Audacity and the ZK Thari delegation found themselves engaged in ever more in-depth exchanges of scientific and cultural knowledge. But just as it seemed that their first contact mission was becoming an unqualified success, disaster struck. Alarms blared throughout the Audacity, jolting Hawthorne from a rare moment of relaxation in his quarters. "Bridge," report, he barked into his communicator as he rushed towards the turbolift. Chen's voice came back, tight with tension. "Captain, we're detecting a massive gravitational anomaly approaching the system. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." When Hawthorne arrived on the bridge, the view screen showed a terrifying sight. A swirling vortex of dark energy was visible at the edge of the system, growing larger by the moment. "What am I looking at?" Hawthorne demanded, his eyes fixed on the screen. Dr. Okonkwo, who had been working with the science team, stepped forward. "It appears to be some kind of spatial rift, Captain. It's emitting gravitational waves of immense power. If it continues to expand at its current rate, it could tear this entire system apart within hours." The ZK Thari ships were already in motion, their organic vessels undulating in patterns that suggested panic. ZK Lore's face appeared on the view screen, its skin pulsing with colors that needed no translation to convey their fear. "Humans," ZK Lore's translated voice came through. "This phenomenon is not unknown to us. It is a void maw, a rare but catastrophic event that has destroyed entire civilizations in our history. We must evacuate immediately." Hawthorne's mind raced. The Audacity could escape using its fold space drive, but the HFY's slower method of travel meant they would never be able to evacuate their entire population in time. Hawthorne said, "An idea forming. What if we could close the rift?" The alien's skin flashed with patterns of disbelief. Impossible. Many have tried in our history. None have succeeded. But none of them had our technology, Hawthorne pressed. He turned to his science officer. "Dr. Okonkwo, could we use the fold space drive to create a countervailing force to the rift?" Okonkwo's eyes widened as he caught on to the captain's line of thinking. "In theory, yes. If we could generate a fold field large enough, we might be able to collapse the rift in on itself. But Captain, the strain on our systems would be enormous. We might not survive the attempt." Hawthorne nodded grimly. "Understood. But we can't stand by and watch an entire civilization be destroyed." He turned back to the view screen. "We're going to attempt to close the rift. We'll need you to coordinate your ships to amplify our field with your gravitational technology." What followed was a frantic race against time. As the void maw grew ever larger, threatening to engulf the entire system, the crew of the Audacity worked in concert with the HFY fleet to enact their desperate plan. The ship groaned and shuddered as its systems were pushed far beyond their design limits. On the bridge, consoles sparked and crew members were thrown from their stations as the gravitational forces buffeted the ship. Fold field at maximum Sharma shouted over the din. "HFY ships in position." Hawthorne gripped the arms of his chair, his knuckles white. "Initiate collapse sequence. Now." For a moment it seemed as if the universe itself held its breath. Then, with a silent flash that nonetheless seemed to shake the very fabric of space-time, the void maw began to contract. Slowly at first, then with gathering speed, the monstrous rift folded in on itself until, with a final flare of energy, it winked out of existence. The bridge of the Audacity was eerily quiet in the aftermath, the only sound the hiss of fire suppression systems and the groans of the battered ship. "Damage report," Hawthorne called out, his voice hoarse. Chen picked herself up from the floor, wiping blood from a cut on her forehead. "Multiple systems offline, hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Emergency force fields holding. Fold space drive is completely burnt out, sir." Before Hawthorne could respond, the view screen flickered to life. ZK appeared, its skin pulsing with colors that the crew had learned to associate with awe and gratitude. "Humans," the alien's voice was filled with emotion. "You have saved not just our world, but our entire civilization. We do not have words to express our gratitude." Hawthorne managed a tired smile. "That's what explorers do, ZK. We help where we can, and we face the unknown together." Chapter 6. A New Chapter. In the days that followed, as the Audacity underwent repairs with the help of ZK technology, a new era of cooperation began. The ZK, moved by the humans' willingness to risk everything to save them, opened up their society in ways they never had before. "It's incredible, Doctor," Okonkwo reported during one of the daily briefings. "They're sharing technological insights that could advance our understanding of gravitational physics by decades, maybe even centuries." Chen nodded, equally excited. "And their bioengineering techniques. If we can adapt even a fraction of it to our own biology, we could be looking at cures for diseases we thought were untreatable." But it was more than just a technological exchange. The near-death experience had forged a bond between the two species, a shared understanding that transcended their biological differences. As the day of the Audacity's departure approached, with its fold space drive repaired and improved with ZK insights, Hawthorne found himself in a reflective mood. Standing in the observation lounge, he gazed out at the ZK homeworld, a gas giant that now seemed less alien and more like a second home. "Penny for your thoughts." Captain Chen's voice came from behind him. Hawthorne turned, smiling at his XO. "Just thinking about how far we've come, Zara. When we set out on this mission, did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Chen shook her head, moving to stand beside him at the window. "Not in my wildest dreams. First contact, averting a cosmic disaster, forging an interstellar alliance. It's the stuff of legend." "And it's only the beginning," Hawthorne mused. "Think about it, we've only explored one system, met one species. What else is out there, waiting for us?" Their conversation was interrupted by the chime of the ship's comm system. Bridge to Captain Hawthorne. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's Admiral Tanaka. Minutes later, Hawthorne and Chen stood before the main view screen on the bridge, facing the image of Admiral Tanaka. The older woman's face was a mix of pride and excitement. Captain Hawthorne, Commander Chen Tanaka began, on behalf of United Earth Command, I want to commend you and your entire crew for your extraordinary achievements. Your first contact with the ZK Thari and the alliance you forged with them. It's beyond our wildest expectations. Thank you, Admiral Hawthorne responded. But I sense there's more to this call than just congratulations. Tanaka nodded, her expression turning serious. You're right, Marcus. The success of your mission has led to a decision by United Earth Command. We're expanding the scope of your expedition. Chen and Hawthorne exchanged glances. Expanding how, exactly, Chen asked. We're commissioning an entire fleet, Tanaka announced. The Audacity will be the flagship of a new exploration armada. Your mission is no longer just to explore, but to seek out potential allies to expand humanity's reach among the stars. Hawthorne felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. That's a significant escalation, Admiral. Are we ready for this? Tanaka's face softened. Ready or not, Marcus, the galaxy now knows we're here. We need to seize this opportunity. Your experiences with the ZK Thari have shown us that we have so much to gain and to offer out there. She paused, her gaze intense. So, Captain Hawthorne, are you ready to make history on an even grander scale? Hawthorne looked around the bridge, at the faces of his crew humans who had already achieved the impossible and were ready for more. He thought of the ZK Thari and all the other wonders and challenges that awaited them in the vast expanse of the galaxy. With a confident smile, he turned back to the view screen. Admiral, the Audacity and her crew stand ready. Let's show the galaxy what humanity can do. As the transmission ended, Hawthorne felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had set out to explore the unknown and in doing so had not only discovered new life but had also unveiled the best of humanity, their courage, their compassion, and their unyielding spirit of discovery. All right, people, Hawthorne addressed his crew, his voice ringing with determination. We've got a galaxy to explore, allies to meet, and history to make. Let's do this. As the Audacity prepared to depart, its hull now bearing the scars of its first great adventure, Hawthorne couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and anticipation. They had faced the unknown and emerged stronger. They had made first contact and forged an alliance, and now they were about to embark on an even greater journey. The stars beckoned, filled with promise and peril in equal measure. But Hawthorne knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity was ready to face them. With allies at their side and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and exploration, they would chart a course for a future brighter than any they could have imagined. As the Audacity's engines hummed to life, preparing for another fold space jump, Hawthorne gave the order that would launch humanity's greatest adventure yet. Let's see what's out there. Engage.